It's okay, I see you. This is frozen. As soon as I started last time, it happened the same thing, it froze. But khair. As long as it's okay on YouTube. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala ibadihi alladhina astafa amma ba'd. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله تعالى وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most magnificent, the most beneficent, the most merciful. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all his ni'mah and favors that he has bestowed upon us. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the divine guidance, the tawfiq and the life to be present in this gathering today. Before we start the actual topic, just to continue on the topic that we were discussing last week at the end of the lesson, was in regards to gratitude, in regards to shukr. And what did we say in regards to shukr? Anybody? What did we say? What did we discuss in regards to shukr? Anybody?
Shukr is to see the in'am that Allah SWT has bestowed upon you.
Shukr is to see, is to remember and to count the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be happy in regards to them, and to be to think that you have been given beyond your worth, beyond worth. And to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for these blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not to utilize the limbs for the disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what? Shukr. It goes, but is there a way, is asking his teacher, is there a way that something you can teach me that can assist me in becoming more grateful? Assist me, mu'awin, says that something that can assist me in becoming more grateful. Or in which way could I attain it? So I think the attaining part was already mentioned last week. Because something very important, it goes, for one to be grateful, is this something, and I'm asking this question, do you think this is something in your capability? It is something that a person wishes and he opts to do? Or do you think it is something that is not in the capability of a person? It is not something that he can just think, okay, I'm going to be grateful, and he can be grateful. Or if a person, or do you think it's something that is not within his means and reach? What do you think? You don't understand the question? You missed the first part. Is it in your power? Is it elective? Is it in one's capacity to just, okay, I want to be grateful, and he starts becoming grateful? Or do you think that it's not in one's capacity? It's not elective?
I think to an extent it will be, because it requires reflection.
Good. Correct.
It's there's different levels to it. Shukr fil lisan, shukr fil qalb.
But the minimum,
that's
consciousness. So technically the Shaykh is saying, listen, if somebody wants to be grateful, then it's an elective process. It's not something that you have to activate. It's elective. You can be grateful if you wish to. It doesn't need an outside force to actually come and activate that process within you. It's something that you can activate, and it's an elective process. You understand? And to go through that process continuously, and to remind oneself that I am going to be grateful. I am going to be grateful, and to continuously remind yourself, no, I need to be grateful to Allah. I need to be grateful for this. I need not to be, I'm not going to be hasty. I'm not going to be ungrateful. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be grateful. And that continuous reminder to yourself, it assists you in continuously being grateful. But the process itself is elective. Understand? It will increase you in your gratitude. That continuous reminder will increase you in gratitude. And this is the most easiest method of attaining shukr. Now he changes the subject after this. So, is there any questions in regards to gratitude that that one might want to know, or one might not have understood, that we could possibly answer now or later? But but remember that shukr is something so important that a person who is a believer acknowledges Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a person who's grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving him or blessing him with an existence. A person who rejects Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, refuses to acknowledge him, is the greatest and most ungrateful person. Because from all the favors of Allah upon us, one of the greatest favors of Allah is what? Life itself. Existence. Right? Existence. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't give us an existence, where would we be? Where will we be? Where would we be? Would somebody even know of us? Would somebody know us? Would your parents know you? Does a parent know its child before it's born? Yes or no? No. Right? And the parents has no idea. Yes or no? Parent has no idea. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses somebody with and introduces that child to the parent, and the parent to the child, and then introduces that child to the world and blesses that child with an existence. That is a ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A disbeliever, a person who rejects Allah's existence, is the one who's ungrateful to him the most. The most ungrateful person is the one who rejects Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and refuses to acknowledge him. So a believer is still grateful and he acknowledges Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then obviously there's degrees in that acknowledgement. How much do you acknowledge? Do you also acknowledge his besides the giving of life? Do you also acknowledge the rest, all his other favors upon you? You understand? And really, each one of you, each one of us is in a ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just that you don't realize it, you don't see it. And when we start looking at others, what they might have, it brings ingratitude in you. It brings ingratitude in you. Is parents elective or selective, or what is it? Is it by choice? No. Is it elective? No. Then what is it?
Selection.
By whom?
Well,
Or is it selection by you? By Allah, right? If a person wanted to decide which household he needed to go to, and those options were presented to us in Alamul Arwah, there'd be a great queue before the kings and the dictators of the world, right? Oh no. But it's not. So that selection of parents is also by whom? Do you get to select your child? You open up a list and, Ya Allah, this one looks good. Do you get to select your child? No. So that child is also a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, if a child thinks, if only I had that other guy as my father, the thought would come to you because it's human, you're a human being. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's selection to be content with Allah's decision, to be content with the qada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is also shukr. So one sheikh was sitting, he goes, how are you, sheikh? He goes, why do you ask the one who's who's content and with whose wishes everything is happening? He goes, oh, but this is blasphemy. Astaghfirullah, what you saying? He goes, no, I have submitted my will to the will of Allah, and everything happens with the will of Allah. So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing, I am happy with it in the world. Understand? So Rada bil qada. What's it called? Rada bil qada. To be content with the decree. Are you happy? To be content in regards to your parents. Allah's selection. You understand? To be content in regards to your children. The thought could occur to you, right? That maybe this, maybe that, maybe this. To be content in regards to one spouse. And the spouse in regards to the husband in regards to the spouse, because also these pairs are made where a person thinks that he's selected. That is, Allah allows you to think that. Allah gives you that luxury to think that something happened by your will. But that meeting of two people is also by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So gratitude in different ways. The gratitude in different ways. Na'udhu billah, what if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed our soul in an ant? What if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed our soul in some animal? We would have never known human beings the way we do. We would have also always known human beings as these unjust hunters who hunt us in the jungle, and we'd be running away from them. We'd never be introduced to human beings, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after creating us, blessing us with an existence, He placed us in a human form. He made us human. That in itself is gratitude, yes or no? So avenues of gratitude are many if one thinks. Avenues of gratitude are many if one thinks. But I just gave you a few examples of how can you might become ungrateful. You might be ungrateful. Submit to the will of Allah. Stop fighting it. Stop fighting the decree of Allah. This is Allah's decree. Stop fighting it. Continue your life from this point onwards. You'll be much happier. You'll be much happier, inshallah. So every question seems to be, give us an easy way for this and give us an easy way for this. So next question is, Sheikh, give us an easy way, fast way, that I become a zahid. I become that the love of the world is not in my heart. In some shortcut way. Because what is the reality of zuhud? Because listen, when the longing for the world decreases in your heart, and when you are content with what you have, that is the haqiqah, the reality of zuhud. Zuhud doesn't mean, by the way, that you have to leave the dunya. Is to live in the dunya and benefit from the world, but at the same time, do not allow it to be your hum and your gham, your full focus, your solution to all problems is to attain more of the dunya. That's not zuhud. He goes to make muraqabah upon it that this dunya is fani, meaning kullu man alayha fan. Everything in this dunya is going to perish. Even the most beautiful objects are one day going to lose their beauty. Yes or no? Yes or no? You buy a brand new shining car, 0 meter, huh? You drive it out of the dealership, mashallah. Drive it for 3 years. How often do the dealerships change their models? 3 years. Usually after 3 years, they'll do a little bit of change here and there. Right? Usually, no? There's no golden rule to it. Maybe 5 years, right? Now, you were just walking, driving past the dealership. You thought you'd take a look. You went there, you parked your car, you went in, you saw all these glamorous cars. You came out and your brand new car, only 3 years old, you only did 5,000 miles on it. You only drove it to the grocery shop, right? But it's next to the one that's nice and brand new. But your brand new car seems old next to the newer car. Your brand new car still seems old next to the new one. And your heart goes, wow, mashallah, mine doesn't look so nice. Wow, look at that one. That looks so nice. Right? And for a moment that ingratitude creeps into your heart. Yes or no? Who says no? Nobody. Who says yes? Well, I want to see the hands up, right? At least admit it, right? Admittance is part of, is the beginning journey. To admit is the beginning, right? Now, cars, I gave you an example. You can always upgrade to a better model. Shaykh al-Islam is laughing because he probably thinks he knows where I'm going with this. Okay, you continue. No, you continue. You laughed as if you knew where I was going with this. The guy goes to, the sheikh goes to the crowd. Do you know what I'm going to say? Says, no. He goes, okay. Then what's the benefit of talking before people who have no idea what I'm going to say? Then he goes to ask again, do you know what I'm going to say? He goes, yes. He goes, what's the benefit of talking to people who know it all? Now the crowd is taraddud, they have doubt. And he goes, okay, so do you know what I'm going to say? He asks again. So half say yes, half say no. He goes, the half that said yes informed the half that said no. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. I'm done. So Sheikh, before I could even say anything, he gave a big Cheshire cat smile. He knows exactly what I was going to say. Now it is incumbent upon you to tell us where we're going to go for this. The next topic under discussion, by the way, is Sidq and Kidb. And which is the topic of discussion today. Why don't you say the truth? I don't have the guts to say it. Okay, see? That's the truth. Because we're live. Otherwise, you would have. Allah. Khair. You buy a new house. The same problem. Yes or no? You see something better. When you see but you don't really know if it's better or not. Because remember, better means barakah. You don't really know if there's going to be barakah in it or not. It might look better, but there's no guarantee of barakah, right? Barakah is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places. You drive a Toyota, no problem, 300,000 miles, it's still going. Yes or no? There seems to be some kind of barakah in these Toyotas. But you drive I don't want to say it, but you drive something else. 50, 60,000 miles, there's already, noises coming from different places of the car. In everything of the dunya, you buy a new mobile phone, right? You buy the latest, go out and buy the latest. Few months later, they have another one. Where are we on the iPhones? By the way, which number are we on? 14? I don't even know, because I don't keep count of the iPhone. Usually you guys who like to follow the Dajjal phones, you guys do that. iPhone. Just Android and plain and simple Androids. That's the same thing. But you take your word for it. Where was I? I even lost you today, huh?
Talking about the house and upgrading that.
Upgrade anything of the world. Anything, take anything of the dunya. When you see what you have, you see your heart is clouded for a while. Maybe I could have done better. Maybe I need to upgrade to a better model, etc., etc., etc. But this is all you have not thought of it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessing. What about those who are deprived from one? What about those who don't have the luxury of buying the latest iPhones and the latest Google phones and the Android phones? What about those people who have no children? You want to ask shukr, you want to really understand shukr and the blessing of a child, go ask the person who doesn't have one. What about the one who doesn't have a spouse? Go ask the person who doesn't have one, the value of one. What about the person who doesn't have an eye? Go ask the value of an eye to that person. Ask the value of the hand to the one that doesn't have it. Ask the value of feet to the one that doesn't have it. You will understand what ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you have. Ask the value of a car, or ask the value of a cheap car to the person who cannot even afford a cheap one, right? So trust me, you might think that people, a person relates to the world to his experience. He goes, what's the big deal? And everybody can afford a car. I mean, how much does a cheap car cost? I mean, how much does one cost? $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000? But you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised there are people in the world that can't afford that, because we look at the dunya through our lens. We look at the dunya through our lens, and we think that everybody has that. What's the big deal? What's the biggie, right? But there is. Those of you who like wearing the latest garments, the latest shoes and the designer clothes and the branded everything, the branded pen and the branded this and the branded kufi and the branded amama and the branded thobes, now you get too, right? But those of you who like to wear all the branded stuff, ask the luxury, you cannot be truly grateful in regards to it unless you don't look at somebody who doesn't have that, who wishes to have that, right? So zuhad, and again it's a part of shukr also, right? But zuhad is to understand this: everything in this dunya is going to eventually become old, it's going to be utilized, it's going to become old, and it's going to perish. And to address it in that way, to approach it in that way, and to also give value to it in that way. Like your child broke a glass and the father goes through the roof. Your child broke a glass and the father jumped through the roof. You know what that means, right? You don't know what that means? Why would you jump through the roof, Adi? Anger, right? So, but your child breaks the command of Allah, and in your heart, you didn't jump through the roof. Huh? There's a huge difference here. Like, your child broke. The child, when he broke something, can it be replaced? But can the child's education be replaced? Can the child's morality be replaced? Can the child's upbringing, his thought process be replaced? It's very difficult. You understand? Very difficult. Khair. It goes, don't busy yourself so much that you have no recollection and there is no thought of salat in your life. There's no, those things that are incumbent upon you. Fajr comes, too busy. Dhuhr comes, too busy. Well, Fajr is alamul naum, right? Fajr is alamul naum. Fajr is I'm too tired, right? Now, is Fajr elective or not elective, guys? Not elective. No, Abdullah. Elective or not elective? Come on, elective or not? How comes it's all silent? Hey, that's a very tricky question. What's the big one? Elective or not? If you want to pray or don't want to pray, elective or not elective? Elective. Khalas. I know it's fard, But that process in you, that should you or should, if a person says, if Allah gives me the tawfiq, I'll pray. When I get the tawfiq, I'll pray. People say that tawfiq milegi to parunga na. Because when you went to Hajj, because when Allah gives me the tawfiq, I'll go. Isn't Hajj fardan upon you? Yes, but Allah tawfiq dega. Allah, nobody can go to Allah's house. Allah doesn't call them. He hasn't called me yet. Tere par phone aana hai, email aana hai. Your email is going to come, or phone's going to come from Allah. You have been selected. To cheek, why don't we approach everything else in the dunya the same way? Right? I want you to, from this point onwards, you are not to do anything until Allah doesn't ask you to. Allah doesn't give you the thought. He says, okay, go home. Allah says, when Allah gives me permission, I'll go home. Why don't you think about it like that? So Fajr, Salat, elective or not elective? Elective. If you want to pray, you'll pray. If you don't want to pray, you will not. You have to make your mind. You want to pray? Yes or no? Then put the alarm on, and when the alarm goes, wake up. When the alarm goes, wake up. The snooze button, put it on continuous. Continuous snooze. Because if you put it on 1, 2, 3 snooze, then that's a problem. But then the snooze button is also very strange. It's elective. I'll give you a mithal. You have an important meeting at work. You have to be there at a certain time, and the alarm goes off. You only press snooze once. Woof, you're out of bed. Why? Because there was worldly benefit or a disadvantage attached to it. Alamun now means the world of dreams of the Rahman. I know that you're there. The world of sleep, that's where people are. What is it saying? Fajr, no. Work. But the snooze button is also elective. You elect to press snooze 5 times or 6 times. But when you want to press it once or twice, it's only once or twice. Mind over. When you want to do something, you will do it. So the question is, like, are you going to go for Hajj? When Allah calls me, inshallah, I will go. What's that? That's a ridiculous answer. Obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala controls the entire world. But have you triggered that thought inside of your head that I need to go? When that is triggered that I need to go, you will go. When it's triggered, I have to go, you will go. And then, when you get married, why doesn't a person, inshallah, when Allah wants me to get married, I will get married. Otherwise, I'm sitting right here. Sit in your home all you want. You're not going to get married. Because you have to employ the means, right? Yes or no? What are the means, by the way? What are the means of getting married? Look for who? Look for one, right? Of course. Employ somebody who's going to look for you. Get the message out. Yes or no? Sitting at home is not going to get you married, right? And then making too many nakhre. What do you call nakhre in English? I know what you're saying. Huh? What did you say there? Not drama. Yes. Excuses. Not the word I'm looking for, though.
Picky criteria.
Pricky criteria. You're close. Oh, no. This one's too tall. This one's too short. This one's this. This one's that. In the olden days, is that how you used to get married, by the way? Oh, one day your mother says, tomorrow you're getting married, brother. And literally people used to go. I know people literally, they've seen their wives, even though it's sunnah to look at the chehra, to look at the face, sunnah. But I've known people in our community who've got married, right? And just because they've been like, the teacher said that the person was great, they got married. Without even looking, because I saw my wife on the wedding day. I was going to say night, of course, but wedding day. On the day of the wedding, I saw my wife. Subhanallah. Now that type of blind wedding nowadays, it'll be a leap of faith, a big leap of faith, right? But then isn't she taking a leap of faith with you? Come on, you could turn out to be this horrible kanjus. You know what kanjus means, right? What does kanjus mean, guys? Bakhil, a stingy guy. You know, the worst criteria for a husband is to be what? Stingy. Really. The worst criterion for a husband is to be stingy. But that doesn't mean you go home now and then you start being lavish, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Qarun's وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. Do not forget your share of the world. You have other responsibilities also. So don't give charity. Don't give a charity where you give everything in charity. Don't forget that you also have a life to live, right? So a person should be, it's relative to each person. A relative to each person. عَلَى الْمُوسِعِ قَدَرُ وَعَلَى الْمُقْتِرِ قَدَرُ. Upon a person who Allah has given vastness to his ability. Upon a person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't given vastness to his ability. Understand? Khair. So he goes, also to live in the company of those people who practice zuhud, or who try to practice zuhud, and to read the stories of the predecessors who practice zuhud. Read the story of Sahaba, many Sahaba who used to practice zuhud, mashallah. Brings us to today's topic, which is like, I hope that we can start it and finish it. What does Sidq mean, Sheikh? Truthfulness. What does truthfulness mean? To speak the truth. Is that what you were going to say? Yes? Is that all that it means? Not conceal the truth. Okay. All right. Man, have you written any books on this topic or what? Yes. What does anybody want to chime in here? What does Sidq mean? Truth, being truthful. Mr. Bilal, take a guess. No? I take a guess for you. Because the question is the following. What is the legal ruling in regards to sidq, truthfulness, and ikhlas, sincerity? What is the difference between ikhlas and sidq? What is the legal ruling in honesty? Okay, honesty, mashallah. And again, what's the easiest method of acquiring it? Everything seems to be the easiest method now. And what can assist me in acquiring it? Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. What was his title? Sidq. Because a Sadiq is a person who speaks the truth. Siddiq is a person who always speaks the truth. He is not just like, it's always, he endeavors, this is his goal and objective of life. Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu says, الصدق أمانة والكذب خيانة. He sums up sidq and kidb in these two words. Sidq is the opposite of treachery. Khiyana, disloyal. Sidq is loyalty. Sidq is a person who's truthful. Sidq is a person who is trustworthy, and khiyana is a person who's not trustworthy. What does that mean? How come he didn't say, something in the hadith of the Prophet says, "As-sidqu yunji wal kidhbu yuhlik." Sidq is salvation and kidhb is destruction. How can that be? Otherwise, I just thought that Sidq was just speaking the truth. But it seems to me that, and it seems obvious by the terminology and by the explanation, that it seems to be something more than just speaking the truth. What do you think? Yes? Are you just agreeing with me today? Why? Anybody want to expand on that? All right. You want to say something? Bismillah.
You mentioned actually several years ago when we were on this topic.
قبل 7 سنة. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, mashallah.
About how it relates to also the intention and the action, not just the speech.
Which book was it?
Tabligh ad-Din, I believe. Yeah.
Umar radiallahu anhu. Let me go through there what he says. He goes, a person cannot reach the peaks of Sidq, Umar radiallahu anhu says, until he does not leave that what is rightfully his in an argument. A person has an argument, and he leaves the argument even though being on the haqq. Or he stops arguing even though, and had he pursued it, he would have still won the argument. Or had he pursued it, he would have still taken his right. A person doesn't take his right even though he's right in that. He knows he's right. He leaves arguing with somebody even though he's right, because a person cannot reach the levels of sidq. Now, what's that? It seems that there's just much more here than honesty, doesn't it? Because the definition seems to indicate that it's an amal. What is it also? Amal, an action. It's something connected to action. And amana and khiyana is also an action. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, in the definition of sidq, says it was very easy. He was mufassir al-Quran, Ra'isul Mufassirin. He goes, لا تلبسوا الحق بالباطل. He gives the definition of sidq as لا تلبسوا الحق بالباطل, mixing truth, haqq, with the falsehood. Mixing truth with falsehood is kidb. And a person who doesn't mix falsehood and the truth with the truth is truthful. Now, is that amal or qawl? Or both? Both, right? So he gave a very concise meaning that haqq is haqq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us what is haqq. Batil is batil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us what is batil. To mix the two together is kidb. To keep the two apart is sidq. Amal or lisan seems to be. Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, rahmatullahi alayh. Who was he? Amir al-Mu'minin. Abdul Malik ibn Marwan is telling his teacher, the sheikh of his kids, children. He goes, teach my children sidq. Teach my children sidq. He goes, but do not teach them anything that is kidb. Why? He goes, because kidb will eventually lead my children to bloodshed. Scratching your head there. What does that mean? Sidq is amal now, or is action, is just verbal? Action or verbal? Action. It seems that sidq is something far greater than what we have thought it to be. Truthfulness, the word sidq, the word is translated as truthfulness, but that's the closest translation in the English language. It seems to meet, and because of the English language, we said that sidq means to speak the truth. We've watered down the actual meaning of sidq. We have watered down the actual meaning of sidq. So, have you never wondered? وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ وَالرَّسُولَهُ is it وَالرَّسُولَ there? وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ. Then, but the Siddiqeen has been mentioned before Shuhada, and the Siddiqeen have been mentioned before the Salihin. That means it's a rank way above the Shuhada and the Salihin and the righteous. What is that rank? Now, do you think just speaking the truth is that level of Siddiqeen? Now, do you think that a person can just by speaking the truth, he can get to that level? No, that means Sidq means something else. What does it mean? Something else. Sheikh explains it, mashallah, in a very concise, very beautiful, very short phrase. And he says, all actions that lead to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to perfect them. What is it? To perfect your obedience before Allah is sidq. Repeat that, please. To perfect one's obedience before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all action is what? Sidq. And obviously, imperfection will be Allahu Akbar. Completely new definition of the sidq and kidb. Yes or no? And then to have disobedience mixed with that obedience. To have disobedience mixed with obedience, mixed with that, to have disobedience mixed with obedience is the opposite of ikhlas. And to purify that action of all disobedience is ikhlas. To perfect an action is sidq. To take away the disobedience from that action is called ikhlas, sincerity. He goes, how to perfect one's action, how to perfect it is contingent upon sidq. Perfection of action is contingent upon sidq. And how to stay away from disobedience is the science of ikhlas. So now all that we're left with is niyyah, which is ikhlas, and amal, and the perfection of that amal, which is sidq. Niyyah, which is ikhlas. A person, he approaches every action with for obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we pray salat, what do we say? What do we say? When we're offering salat, what's our intention? Obedience to Allah, praying to Allah, yes? Inni wajjahtu wajhiya. You don't have to say it, but the intention is to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes or no? When we make wudu, what's the intention? to purify, but that purification is for to obedience also. Allah. So when you are doing an action solely for Allah's obedience, and the continuous reminder of that is ikhlas. To perfect an action is what? Now, to pray salat with all its prerequisites and requisites and all the requirements of salat, and to pray with to make sure that your hands are moving in exactly the same manner as prescribed. Your body, the movement of the body is as prescribed. The movement of the limbs is as prescribed. Your sajda is as prescribed. Your ruku is as prescribed. Your qiyam is as prescribed. Your qu'ud is as prescribed. That is what? Sidq. And to pray salat solely for Allah is what? Ikhlas. You can never have sidq fil amal if you don't have ilm. Or if you don't practice with somebody that has that perfection in his amal. Or who strives to be perfect in his amal. You understand? That's why the Siddiqeen is immediately after a Nabi. If a person can have sidq in his amal, every amal done with kamal, perfect. Wow. Wow. MashaAllah. Nurun ala nur. This is a lifetime of effort. To find out what brings kamal into one's action is lifetime of effort. Yes or no? Or do you think it's like you read a couple of books and you're done? It's an effort. It takes time. Why do we do muraqabah, by the way? Why do we do muraqabah? For what? For what? In light of what has been discussed today, why do we do muraqabah? Yes. To bring ikhlas and sincerity, so that a person becomes sincere to him. But at the same time, as the increase of Allah, as a person becomes Allah conscious, he also becomes conscious that, am I doing this right or not? Or am I doing this wrong? That's why it says that an abid salat is an alim salat is more superior to an abid's. Why? Because every action is done with knowledge of perfection. Yes? Yes or no? The answer, the question, the person who asked the question, he follows it up. Because Shaykh, can you just give us some examples in regards to this? Because it seems that I'm a bit confused with the above explanation. It doesn't seem clear to me. It goes to offer salat in the way Sharia has asked you to offer salat is sidq, and to perfect it. And to be mindful of all the external and internal etiquettes is also the perfection of salat. It goes to offer salat to show off. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ, the one who does actions to show others. Because that is riya, that is to show off in your action, and that is going to take away the ikhlas from your amal. If a person has no sincerity and he doesn't do an action for Allah, is it accepted? No, it's not accepted. And if a person offers salat in a manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't ask him to offer salat, his obedience, his ita'ah is not complete. His obedience is not perfect. He should perfect his amal. Perfect it. I'm going to come back. You understand? Um, let's take something else. Hajj. Those of you who've been for Hajj, everybody runs from Muzdalifah at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., running like sheep, running. Let's get out of here. The sunnah is to leave Muzdalifah when? After Fajr. Now, Kamal in Hajj is to leave after Fajr. Sidq, to bring perfection into one's amal. You just spent $15,000 to go there and you're taking shortcuts. Your obedience is not complete. Doesn't mean it's not accepted, but it's not complete. It's not sidq. Understand? So I just gave you one example. There are many, many examples in Hajj like that. Many, many examples. In Zakat, the same thing. In Hajj, the same thing. The fasting, the same thing. There are etiquettes of fasting, and there's how to fast perfectly, and there's also how to fast imperfectly, right? Two ways. You understand? So sidq fil amal is important. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us sidq fil amal. And let's do some muraqabah, inshallah. Think that focus your mind to Allah, and the heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think that the blessings are coming down from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and entering into your heart, and your heart is saying, Allah, Allah, Allah. Keep on repeating that in your heart. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. جزاك الله خير إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.